Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a Diablo 3 patch 2.6.4 Season 16 Barbarian build guide. This guide is for an Immortal King Hammer of the Ancient or HOTA build. Now we've previously covered Recramorcen HOTA, which is arguably the best Barbarian build in the game. IK is a variant of this same build that is not as powerful but still very powerful. However, it is a lot easier to run and a lot easier to gear for. Plus, in Season 16, your starter set is Immortal King, so you can actually use this build to very easily farm your way to the Recramorcen variant if you do want to switch to it one day. Now, Season 16 is the Season of Grandeur. Everyone gets a free Ring of Royal Grandeur buff. If you're not playing Seasonal, you will not receive this buff, so we will include in this guide what you would change if you're playing non-season versus season. Now in this video, we'll be covering the gear and the skills that you'll want to rock this build. So let's just dive right into taking a look at the gear. Again, the Immortal King set. You'll want to benefit from the full 6 pieces. Now, if you are playing on season, you'll achieve that by equipping the helm, the chest, the belt, the pants, and the boots. If you're playing non-season, you'll add the gloves to that. The 2-piece bonus of the IK set makes Call of the Ancients last until they die. The 4-piece bonus makes it such that the cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients is reduced by 3 seconds for every 10 fury you spend with an attack. Through this, we're going to maintain 100% uptime on Wrath of the Berserker with 0 cooldown. This is a 0 cooldown build, which makes it so easy to gear for. Then the 6-piece bonus, while Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients are up, you will deal a bunch more damage. As you can see, this is a very versatile set. You can work in any attacking skill, but we're focusing on Hammer of the Ancients, and to that end, we need the Bracers of the First Men. This makes Hammer of the Ancients attack 50% faster and deal a ton more damage. In our cube, we'll want the Gavel of Judgment. Again, huge damage buff to Hammer of the Ancients. Then we'll round out the build with Fury of the Ancients' Shoulders. That gives us for free the Ancients' Fury rune on Call of the Ancients. We'll want a Traveler's Pledge and Compass Rose set combo. This gives us more damage while we're standing still and more toughness while we're moving. We'll want a Convention of Elements for more damage during our fire rotation. This will be a fire build. We'll want a Band of Might. And whether you cube the Band of Might or the Convention, doesn't matter. You want to wear the one that has rolled better and cube the one that has rolled worse. Band of Might will give us a big damage reduction buff. Because of this, we want to be casting Furious Charge at least once every 8 seconds. Then lastly, if you're playing non-seasonal, you'll want Mage Fist Gauntlets in the cube. Otherwise, if you're playing seasonal, rather than equipping the IK gloves, you'll be wearing the Mage Fist Gauntlets and you'll be cubing Strong Arm Bracers. If you have to pick one or the other, definitely go with Mage Fist Gauntlets in the cube. But then for the free item that you get, thanks to the Season of Grandeur, we're working in some Strong Arm Bracers. Then the weapon combination you'll want is Little Rogue and the Slanderer. A 2-handed weapon versus 2 one-handed weapons. 2-hander is very slow. These 2 will be very fast, and their set bonus is that you attack faster and faster and faster. Also, you gain a damage and a toughness buff. A big part of this build revolves around building up attack speed, hitting very quickly. It's actually a little comical to watch. Now, we'll go over exactly all the ideal stats that you want on your gear, but first, we'll take a look at the skills. Starting off with the Star, Hammer of the Ancients, Smash. Not only does this rune deal the greatest amount of flat damage, but it receives a damage buff. 1% increased crit chance for every 5 fury that you have. That's why we want to stack as much max fury as possible. Now, of course, we're taking Call of the Ancients. We're going to take the Together as One rune to gain 50% damage reduction. Because of our bracers, we're already getting the Ancients Fury rune for free, which makes us gain fury every time one of our Ancients deals damage. That'll help with fury management, because again, more fury means more crits. Of course, we're taking Wrath of the Berserker, the rune being Insanity for that huge 50% damage buff, and Wrath of the Berserker itself already gives us a crit chance buff, an attack speed buff, a dodge chance buff, and a move speed buff. Then we're taking Furious Charge because we need to maintain that buff from the Band of Might, and we're going to go with the Merciless Assault rune in order to better help manage our cooldown on Furious Charge. Furious Charge has a 10-second cooldown, whereas our Band of Might gives us a buff for 8 seconds. So that's a 2-second window whereby we would not be benefiting from the Band of Might. And again, this is a 0 cooldown build. So with Merciless Assault, we're always guaranteed, as long as we're charging an enemy and not a wall, to reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds, putting us exactly within that 8-second window. Then as an all-around great buff, we're taking Battle Rage, Bloodshed. We get more damage, we get more crit chance, and we deal extra damage based on our recent crits. That's why we want to be getting as many crits as possible. Then lastly, we're taking Warcry, Veteran's Warning. Warcry is a Fury generator, and again, we want to be topped off on Fury at all times, but also gives us a defensive buff. The Veteran's Warning rune gives us a 30% dodge chance. That means anytime we are attacked, there's a 30% chance that we take 0 damage. If you'd rather something a little bit more reliable, let's say you're playing hardcore, you can go with Impunity instead to raise your all resistances by 20%. For our passives, we're going to want to take Ruthless. This will help us finish off enemies. This build is going to shine when you have a huge density of monsters to attack, and it starts to struggle against single targets, so this helps us finish off those weakened few enemies. Rampage is an all-around great passive. We gain strength from killing enemies. Strength gives us toughness and damage. We'll take Berserker Rage to deal more damage while near max fury, because again, we're trying to be as close to max as possible at all times. Then lastly, we're taking Bloodthirst. Each point of fury spent heals you. Now, if you'd rather, you can instead here take Nerves of Steel for that extra free life. But Bloodthirst here serves as a way of maintaining your health. As you'll be attacking, you'll be spending Fury and thus healing. And if you take Bloodthirst everywhere you can as a secondary property on your gear, you'll try to squeeze in some health globe healing bonus. Another trick to use with this is to spam Battle Rage to heal. Battle Rage costs 20 Fury with no cooldown, so particularly if you're outside of combat and you want to heal up a bit, you can just spam some Battle Rage, and through Bloodthirst and through some gear stats, that's gonna heal you. Alright, back to our gear. We're gonna go over every item slot and the ideal stats that you want, but I do encourage you to check the link in the video description to the D3 planner that has a visual guide to all the best stats on every piece of gear. So on your shoulders, you want Strength, Vitality, Life, and Area Damage. On your helm, Strength, Crit Chance, Hammer of the Ancients damage, and you're gonna put an Amethyst in there for even more life. You're not going to want a diamond because you don't want cooldown reduction, and you're not going to put a topaz because you also don't want resource cost reduction. Remember, the more resource you spend, the more you heal. For our amulet, we want fire damage, crit chance, crit damage. For our gloves, strength, crit chance, crit damage, area damage. For our chest, strength, vitality, life percent, or damage reduction versus elites. For our bracers, fire damage, strength, vitality, crit chance. For our belt, strength, vitality, all resist, and life per fury spent. This, on an ancient item, gives us even more than the passive does. The difference being, however, that it doesn't benefit from that 1% bonus from health globe on gear. But between this and the passive, you should have a very solid amount of recovery. For our pants, you want strength, vitality, all resist. For our boots, strength, vitality, all resist, and Hammer of the Ancients damage. For our convention of elements, crit chance, crit damage, raw damage if it is an ancient item, otherwise strength. And on your compass rose, strength, crit chance, crit damage, raw damage if it's ancient, otherwise area damage. Then on both your Little Rogue and Slanderer, you ideally want 10% damage, strength, and area damage. For your legendary gems, you'll want a Bane of the Trapped. We'll be benefiting from this damage bonus at all times once you get it to level 25. Best damage gem in the game. You'll want either a Bane of the Stricken or a Bane of the Powerful. Now, most people swap to a Bane of the Stricken far too soon. You only swap to Bane of the Stricken once you're starting to push higher greater rifts and it's taking you too long to kill enemies. Thanks to this build's high attack bonus, you're able to stack your Stricken stacks a lot quicker. And again, because this build does very well in groups, but does very or relatively poorly against single targets like a Rift Guardian, you will need to swap to your Bane of the Stricken sooner than in most other builds. With a Bane of the Stricken, you're going to deal 25% increased damage against the Rift Guardian, and the longer you're attacking an enemy, basically, the more damage you deal. When you're finishing rifts in 5 minutes, this is seldom beneficial. A Bane of the Powerful will have a consistent buff up throughout the entire rift, and it's far more reliable. Then lastly, for more damage you can go with a Pain Enhancer, or for more toughness you can go with Esoteric Alteration. The point of the Pain Enhancer is to create large groups of enemies around you and get them bleeding. The bleed itself isn't a huge source of damage, but that attack speed buff, when combined with a huge amount of enemies, is going to turbocharge you. Onto our Paragon points. You want to get your total move speed up to 25%, factoring in any you might have on gear, then max out your Fury. Remember, more Fury, more crits. Then dump everything else into strength. For your offense, crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, and cooldown. For defense, all resist, life, armor, life regen. And for utility, get area damage, life per hit, gold find, and skip resource cost reduction. And that is going to wrap up this guide. But do be sure to have checked out our guide on the best builds for Season 16 and stay tuned for update videos because that list is bound to change and relatively soon. All the various buffs that we've seen coming into this patch combined with the seasonal buff is bound to result in some surprises. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider becoming a Royal Raider on Patreon, where your support is immensely appreciated. We've got a variety of backer rewards, including behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more Diablo content.